Imagine a creature so powerful it could bulldoze through ice walls thicker than your car. A beast that made even the mighty mammoth think twice before crossing its path. This is the story of the woolly rhino, the Ice Age's most underestimated warrior. While everyone obsesses over mammoths and saber-toothed cats, there's a prehistoric giant that's been hiding in plain sight. The woolly rhino wasn't just another Ice Age animal. It was a 2-ton battering ram covered in shaggy armor, sporting a horn longer than a baseball bat, and it had an attitude to match. Here's something that'll blow your mind. Woolly rhinos had 2 horns, not 1. The front horn could grow up to 4.5 feet long. That's taller than most 7-year-old children. But here's the kicker. Scientists believe they used these massive horns not for fighting, but for sweeping away snow to find food. Imagine using a sword as a shovel. These creatures roamed the frozen steppes of Eurasia for over 1 million years. They survived ice ages that would make our worst winters look like spring picnics. But what's truly mind-blowing is that they weren't slow, lumbering giants. Recent studies suggest they could charge at speeds up to 30 miles per hour. That's faster than Usain Bolt's top speed. The woolly rhino's scientific name is Culeodonta antiquitatis, which roughly translates to ancient cavity tooth. But don't let that boring name fool you. These animals were anything but ordinary. Their teeth were specially adapted to grind the toughest, most fibrous plants on Earth. They could chew through vegetation so tough it would break a modern horse's jaw. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Cave paintings from over 30,000 years ago show woolly rhinos with a distinctive hump on their shoulders. For decades, scientists thought this was artistic exaggeration. Then, in 2020, a perfectly preserved specimen was found in Siberian permafrost, and guess what? The hump was real. It was a massive muscle structure that gave the rhino incredible neck strength for its snow-sweeping behavior. But the most fascinating discovery came from analyzing their wool. Unlike mammoths, whose hair was relatively straight, woolly rhino fur had a unique crimped structure. Each hair strand was like a tiny spring, creating air pockets that provided insulation far superior to any modern Arctic animal. Scientists estimate their coat was so effective they could survive temperatures of -50 degrees Celsius without breaking a sweat. Here's something that sounds like science fiction but is absolutely true. Woolly rhinos had a special adaptation in their blood. Recent DNA analysis revealed they possessed a unique hemoglobin variant that allowed their blood to carry oxygen more efficiently in extreme cold. This meant their muscles could function at full power even when other animals would be sluggish and hypothermic. The relationship between woolly rhinos and early humans is shrouded in mystery and controversy. Unlike mammoths, which were frequently hunted and depicted in cave art, woolly rhinos appear far less often. Why? Some researchers believe these animals were so dangerous and unpredictable that humans actively avoided them. There's evidence of woolly rhino remains with human-made spear marks, but they're incredibly rare. One of the most spectacular finds was discovered in 2015 in Kazakhstan. A woolly rhino skull was found with a healed wound that could only have been made by another rhino's horn. The injury had completely healed, meaning this animal survived a brutal fight and lived for years afterward. The force required to puncture a woolly rhino's thick skull is almost incomprehensible. Their habitat was unlike anything we see today. The mammoth steppe was a vast grassland ecosystem that stretched from Spain to Canada. It was cold, dry, and incredibly windy, but it was also one of the most productive ecosystems in Earth's history, supporting massive populations of megafauna. The woolly rhino was perfectly adapted to this environment, with wide, flat feet that acted like snowshoes, distributing their weight across soft ground. Here's something that rarely gets mentioned. Woolly rhinos had incredibly small eyes relative to their body size. This wasn't a disadvantage. In the perpetual twilight of the Ice Age Arctic, where the sun barely rose in winter and barely set in summer, vision wasn't as important as smell. Their olfactory bulbs were enormous, suggesting they could detect food sources under several feet of snow. The social structure of woolly rhinos is still debated, but recent trackway discoveries in Poland suggest they may have traveled in small family groups. One site preserved the footprints of 3 individuals, 2 adults and 1 juvenile, all moving in the same direction. This challenges the long-held belief that they were solitary animals. Now, let's talk about something truly bizarre. In 2018, researchers analyzing woolly rhino coprolites, that's fossilized dung, they found something unexpected: seeds from plants that only grow in much warmer climates. This suggests that woolly rhinos may have migrated seasonally, traveling hundreds of miles between summer and winter ranges. Imagine a 2-ton rhino making an annual trek across the Ice Age landscape. The extinction of the woolly rhino is one of paleontology's greatest mysteries. They disappeared around 14,000 years ago, thousands of years before the mammoths. Climate change is the usual suspect, but here's the twist: the climate was actually warming up, which should have been good for them. Some scientists now believe a combination of factors, including a mysterious disease, may have been responsible.
One of the most controversial theories suggests that a pathogen, possibly carried by humans or their dogs as they migrated into Eurasia, could have devastated woolly rhino populations. Modern rhinos are extremely susceptible to certain diseases, and their Ice Age cousins may have been equally vulnerable. But here's where the story takes a turn into the realm of the extraordinary. In 2012, a woolly rhino carcass was found in Siberia, so well preserved that its last meal was still in its stomach. Scientists analyzed the contents and found something shocking. The rhino had been eating a type of flower that only blooms for 2 weeks in early spring. This means we know the exact time of year this animal died, over 30,000 years ago. The preservation of woolly rhino remains in permafrost has given us unprecedented insights into their biology. One specimen, nicknamed Sasha, was so perfectly preserved that scientists could see the individual muscle fibers. The analysis revealed that woolly rhinos had muscle compositions similar to modern sprinters, not marathon runners. They were built for explosive power, not endurance. Here's a fact that sounds impossible, but is scientifically verified. Woolly rhino horns were not made of bone, but of keratin, the same material as your fingernails. However, their horns were so densely packed that they were harder than most woods. A full-force charge from a woolly rhino could punch through a tree trunk. The relationship between woolly rhinos and Neanderthals is particularly fascinating. Neanderthal sites in Europe contain woolly rhino bones with cut marks, but they're always from already dead animals. There's no evidence of Neanderthals successfully hunting healthy adult woolly rhinos. This suggests these animals were simply too dangerous to tackle head-on. Now, let's discuss something that challenges everything we thought we knew about Ice Age animals. Recent isotope analysis of woolly rhino teeth suggest they may have been partially nocturnal. In the Arctic summer, when the sun never sets, being active at night when it's slightly cooler would have been a huge advantage for an animal covered in thick wool. The woolly rhino's digestive system was a marvel of evolution. They had a massive cecum, a specialized part of the intestine that could ferment plant material for days. This allowed them to extract nutrients from vegetation that would be completely indigestible to most animals. Essentially, they had a built-in composting system. Here's something that connects the ancient past to our present. DNA extracted from woolly rhino remains has revealed they were more closely related to modern Sumatran rhinos than to any other living species. This tiny forest-dwelling rhino in Southeast Asia is the last echo of the mighty woolly rhino's lineage. It's like discovering that your closest living relative is someone completely unexpected. One of the most haunting discoveries was made in a cave in France. A woolly rhino skull was found deliberately placed on a rock formation, surrounded by cave bear bones arranged in a circle. This wasn't natural. Someone, either humans or Neanderthals, created what appears to be a ritual site. What did the woolly rhino mean to these ancient people? We may never know. The speed at which woolly rhinos disappeared is alarming when you think about it. These animals survived multiple ice ages, dramatic climate shifts, and volcanic eruptions. They were the ultimate survivors. Yet, within a few thousand years, they were gone. It's a sobering reminder that even the most successful species can vanish. But here's where the story gets really interesting. In 2019, scientists successfully sequenced the complete woolly rhino genome. This opens up theoretical possibilities that sound like science fiction. Could we bring back the woolly rhino through de-extinction technology? The Sumatran rhino is critically endangered, with fewer than 80 individuals left. Some scientists have proposed using woolly rhino genes to help strengthen the Sumatran rhino's cold tolerance, potentially opening up new habitats for them. The cultural impact of woolly rhinos on ancient humans is only now being fully appreciated. New analysis of cave art using advanced imaging techniques has revealed hidden woolly rhino depictions that were previously invisible. These animals were clearly important to Ice Age people, even if we don't fully understand why. Here's a mind-bending fact. The last woolly rhinos may have survived much longer than we thought. Unconfirmed reports from Siberian indigenous peoples describe large, horned, hairy creatures in remote areas. While mainstream science is skeptical, it's worth noting that the coelacanth, a fish thought extinct 66 million years ago, was found alive in 1938. Could isolated populations of woolly rhinos have survived into more recent times? Probably not, but the possibility is tantalizing. The legacy of the woolly rhino extends beyond paleontology. Engineers have studied their horn structure to develop better impact-resistant materials. Their unique properties of their wool have inspired new insulation technologies. Even their blood chemistry has applications in developing better treatments for hypothermia. As we face our own climate crisis, the story of the woolly rhino becomes increasingly relevant. These animals were perfectly adapted to their environment, yet they couldn't adapt fast enough when conditions changed. It's a warning from the past about the fragility of even the most robust species. The woolly rhino wasn't just another Ice Age animal. It was a masterpiece of evolution, a creature so specialized and so successful that it dominated the frozen steppes for 1,000,000 years. It was a tank, a snowplow, and a survivor all rolled into one magnificent package. So the next time you think about the Ice Age, don't just picture mammoths and saber-toothed cats. Remember the woolly rhino, the forgotten tank that bulldozed its way through 1,000,000 years of ice and snow. Remember the creature that was so tough, so perfectly adapted, that a perfect storm of catastrophes to finally bring it down. The woolly rhino may be extinct, but its story is far from over. Every new discovery adds another chapter to this incredible saga. And who knows, maybe one day, through the magic of modern science, we'll hear the thunder of woolly rhino hooves once again. Until then, they remain what they've always been, the Ice Age's most underestimated, most fascinating, and most formidable forgotten tank.